Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So in my Q&A video, which was a couple videos back, I mentioned that I was planning on not reading young adult whatsoever within the year of 2016, and I wasn't planning on filming a video on this because number one, I'm aware this is not a massive change for me. I think I read about 22 to 25% young adult within the past couple of years. And I also wasn't sure if I wanted to film this video because let's be honest, I think we're all aware that Booktube is an incredibly welcoming, incredibly kind community, but when it comes to this topic in particular, people are a little bit sensitive, and by a little bit I mean pretty fucking sensitive. But I did get so many comments from you guys asking me to go ahead and film this that that's what I'm here to do today. But I will just say, if you are one of those people who are a bit sensitive about this topic, just watch the entirety of the video before you go ahead and form an opinion. So there are both sort of internal personal reasons and then external reasons why I don't want to read young adult whatsoever this year. So first, internally, personally for me, as I said, within the past couple of years, about a quarter of what I've read has been young adult, and if I'm being blunt and honest, I haven't loved any of it. Now, there have been a couple that I did really like. They weren't favorites, but I really enjoyed. Say The Mockingbirds or Dare Me, both of those were great. But because over the past couple of years, I keep trying time and time again to find a young adult book that I'm loving and I'm failing, that's just one small reason for why overall this year I want to decrease my young adult reading. And the second personal reason is that most of the time, I would say probably half the time that I'm checking out a young adult book, it's because of this thing that we all talk and know about, and that is book hype. So most of the books that are hyped up on Booktube are young adult, and even though they might not be ones that I naturally would have gravitated towards, it's not that I feel left out, because being left out signifies that people are kind of actively doing that to you, and I don't feel that, but it's just when you hear people discussing books so much and saying how much they enjoy them, naturally your interest is going to increase and you're going to want to check those out. And as I've just said, most of the time that hasn't been working out for me, so by actively telling myself, you're not going to do that this year, Katie. So I do think personally by doing this, my chances of enjoying more of the books that I'm reading is going to increase this year versus the past couple of years. And now I'm going to shift to my more external reasons for wanting to do this, and these are definitely the more big and important ones, at least to me. If by making this solely an adult reviewing channel for an entire year, and people who generally read young adult can come across my channel, or maybe they're already subscribed to me, and see how fun and engaging reading solely adult books can be, and if those people can be inspired to step outside of their comfort zone, even if it's just a few people, then it's worth it for me to do this. Because when it comes down to it, in the end, if I'm being blunt and honest, I think that there is more value in always stepping outside of your comfort zone than there is staying in your own little bubble, and in this case the YA bubble, which I think that's what Ariel Bassett's video was when she decided to do something sort of similar to this a few years back. Now I should also state, I'm not talking about people here who have read a really wide range of books and they've just decided that YA is their niche and that's what they've enjoyed. I'm solely talking about people who aren't stepping outside of their young adult reading because they think the adult book realm is either dull or maybe they're fearful of it. I just think it's so important for us as booktubers to be inspiring people to be stepping out past that line of what people are generally reading. Now, whenever I see someone recommend or even just briefly mention not reading young adult, people get very, very defensive. And the most common rebuttal that I tend to see is people freak out and they say, well, at least I'm reading. And even just look at the syntax of that sentence. At least I'm reading, at least. And I understand that, and it's not about trying to say that the adult area of the library is superior. As I've said, I think it's pretty obvious I enjoy the adult section more, but I'm not necessarily saying that it's better and that's why people should be reading it and that they should be leaving adult in the dust. All I'm saying is if you're only reading adult and if that's all you've ever read, maybe you've only read 1 or 2 adult books and you didn't like them so you went back to YA, you're missing out on a huge, vast section of reading. And if you adore reading young adult, it's kind of unfathomable to me that you wouldn't enjoy reading at least a fair amount of adult books as well, and to not step outside of that and to not read it simply because it's the adult section and it doesn't have that YA title, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself. And I know some people might rebuttal that and say, okay, well, you're talking about not sectioning off yourself from reading a certain area, but right now you're telling yourself for a year you're only gonna read within a certain area. Okay, I get it, but but I don't think that generally applies in this case because it's about encouraging people to step outside of what is the norm, at least on Booktube. And then going off of that, I would love it if within a few years' time, Booktube was viewed, and I don't think this video is gonna cause this or change this, but Sort of externally, when people view Booktube, now I'm not talking about people who have delved deep into Booktube and have been watching it for a while, because those people are obviously aware of the wide range of books that people read here, but externally at face value, in my opinion at least, when people view Booktube who don't know it very well, it's not a place of reading, it's a place of young adult reading. And that is something that does make me a bit sad. And whenever I type in Booktube onto, say, Twitter or Tumblr or Reddit, what I inevitably see is a conversation that goes something like this. Someone will say, oh, I thought about starting a book review channel on YouTube and I just came across this place called Booktube. What do you guys think? And they'll ask in the forum. And inevitably I see someone come back and comment, oh yeah, well, but just make sure you're reading young adult because, you know, Booktube's mainly where people are reading young adult. And sometimes the person will say, great, because that's what I like to read. And other times the person will say, oh, okay, well, never mind. That's not really what I'm interested in. And I know a lot of you might fire back and say, well, Katie, obviously there's such a wide range of readers on Booktube. I'm aware, I recommend and watch those people all the time. But at face value, externally, you're only going to know that if you dig deeper into YouTube. If you type book review into YouTube, the videos that are gonna pop up are those young adult books, because that's in general what the popular stuff on Booktube is. And I know some people might come back and then say, okay, well now you're making this all about views. It's not, but to a certain extent, to say that views don't matter whatsoever, I don't think is entirely true. I come across channels that are such high quality content. They're uploading regularly, they're fantastic quality, they're so well organized and so engaging and fun. They happen to also only be reviewing adult novels, and because of that, no one's watching their videos. Now, I know that there are exceptions to that, but if more people were to step outside of their comfort zones, those tiny channels that deserve so many more subscribers would be more likely to take off. And again, I recognize the point of making videos is not views, but obviously if someone's spending hours and hours and hours for a year and they only have, say, 100 subscribers and therefore 10 or so people who are watching them, you know, that's not very encouraging to the creator. And so in the end, that's why I'm choosing to not read young adult for this year. And if anybody gets upset about that and says, well, there's this young adult book and this one's so great and this is the one that you'll probably really love and will be one of your favorites, that's great. This is only going on for a year. I can check it out in 2017. So down below, I'm also going to go ahead and link some wonderful adult book reviewers. I don't think it would make sense if I didn't go ahead and do that, but let me know, of course, what your thoughts are on this. This is a discussion video after all, and I will see you guys soon.